Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? This is Colin, back at it again with another episode, episode 12 of A New Direction, the podcast where I talk about all sorts of things ranging from a variety of topics and just kind of give my opinion on different things and whatnot. So, yeah, episode 12, yet again, another sort of standard episode, no deep dive today. But like usual, we're going to start off with the music recommendation. Today we have an album that is very, very near and dear to me. Definitely one of my favorite of all time. An album that I just love all the way through is the album Giles Corey by Giles Corey. Which is the like a project of Dan Barrett, who is also a member of Have a Nice Life. They have a very, very notable and famous album called Death Consciousness that is very popular within the scene. And so he is the creative mastermind behind Giles Corey as well. And this is honestly some of the most dark and haunting music you will ever listen to. Very hauntingly beautiful, but nonetheless very dark and just dreary and hard to listen to at times, honestly. But he uses a variety of different, instruments and samples to really get a unique sound here. There's even like percussion sections that involve like dropping like a chain on the ground. Like he uses random objects and, uses them as instruments, which I think is really, really cool. But overall, the songwriting is fantastic. The performance, both, instrumentally and vocally, is incredible. The mix and master is also very, very good, especially considering how much it complements the sound of the music as well. And just overall, I would rate this album a 9 out of 10 on almost perfect, really, as far as it goes. I honestly don't really have any bones to pick with this. If there was one thing I would say, I would complain that it's too short. I wish there was more music like it, because I just really am a huge fan of this album. But notable tracks for me are The Haunting Presence, which is the intro track and is honestly probably my favorite on the whole album. And then I'm Going to Do It, which is also a very, very good track as well. But I would highly recommend checking this album out. It's kind of like a folky, like a dark folky sort of. It's honestly kind of hard to pin like a genre on this, at least right off the top of my head. But it's very much acoustically driven with the acoustic guitar, and then he uses piano and other acoustic instruments to create a very, very dark atmosphere. So I would highly recommend checking this album out if you're into, darker music or want something more acoustically driven. Give it a listen. Like I did say, though, it's very, very inaccessible, I guess. It's kind of hard to listen to at times with just how shrill and harsh and raw everything is. But that's just part of what I love about it. So I highly recommend this album to anybody. And I definitely, talked about it a little longer than other albums. So that's how I care a lot about this one. But yeah, I would definitely encourage anybody to give it a go. But anyway, that is the music recommendation for the episode. Leading right into the video, we've got starting off. So this video is being recorded a pretty good bit in advance from when it will actually be released. It's actually October 26th right now, and this is going to be out sometime in November. So a good bit ahead. I think this one will be out on the 3rd, November 3rd. But I wanted to talk firstly about the experience I had last night. So I guess it's technically not last night because it's after midnight now. But last night, we'll just go with that. Me and Devin and his girlfriend, and then his girlfriend's sister, we all went out to like the haunted trail that's in our town. That's like I guess the most popular one or most well-known one. It's got really good reviews on Google, and it's just overall like a very popular local attraction, especially this time of year. And I had never gone before, but they invited me to come with them last night, so I got to go check that out. And I guess I just want to talk a little bit about it because, for one, it was the first time I've ever been through a haunted trail. But for two, I guess it also is just something I was very like appreciative of the gesture, and I kind of will get a little bit more into that here in a few minutes. But I guess just going on about the actual experience itself. So you roll up and you park, and then they take you on like a bus to the trailhead, and you like purchase your ticket there, and then you begin the trail. You go like get in line, and so when we went, it was like an hour before they closed, and we actually got lucky because they closed earlier than Google said, but we still had plenty of time to go through it, and we actually went through it twice. But I'll talk about that here in a second. Um, but yeah, we pulled up and we rode the bus over to the trailhead. And the bus, like the bus driver was like swerving the bus all over the road and like kind of drifting it or whatever. I mean, it was part of the show. And it had like speakers that were playing like eerie music and like thunder and stuff. It was pretty cool. Definitely starting off with a good sort of creepy vibe with the bus ride. But we got over there and purchased our tickets, and then we went. And the first time we went, it was there were still like people kind of coming out, and actually like attending it. So we had to wait in a little bit of a line, and we ended up getting like the way it works is like you get sent through the trail in like groups, and so there were the four of us. And then the first time we went through after we waited, we probably waited like 10 minutes or so in line, maybe even less than that. But we got put in this group with these three like older dudes. They were probably like in their mid 20s, and they seemed really chill about everything, even though we were, kind of the, I guess, not necessarily like annoying teenagers, but they were like out there grown men doing this, and then we were just kind of freaking out in the back a little bit. But it was pretty cool. They were really chill, and so definitely a good first experience with that, with the group and everything. But we started off and we started walking, and the whole point, like with the trail and the whole like way it works is like the point is you don't stop moving. Like you are always going forwards, always continuing to walk, and you don't leave your group behind, obviously. But like, the goal is to continue going forwards always. And so like we go through, and the immediately like we are walking into this like building that's pitch black inside and you can't see anything, and there's like these curtains and sheets hanging down, and like you're just expecting somebody to jump out at you pretty much the whole time. And that's like the first thing you see when you start walking on this trail. Like you go in this building, and so it's already setting the tension like crazy high. Even though at the time that we went there was nobody actually in that building, the tension was already really high going into it. And so we kind of meandered our way around the trail, and it kind of went outside through the woods. And there were people in the woods that like jumped out and were scaring us and stuff. And we like the trail itself was about it's about a 15 or 20 minute long trail. Also depending on how quickly you walked. The first time, I don't know if we were walking fast or if the group in front of us was going slow, but we kind of kept encountering the group ahead of us like at the buildings, because the way it works is like the trail, like there were different like sections of it pretty much, and like each kind of had like a different theme to it. So there was like the butcher theme where they were like had like the roadhog from Overwatch looking dude with the big meat chopper thing, and like they were banging it on the wooden or like on the walls and on the drums. They had like the big like oil drums that you would see. I might like put a picture up, but they were banging on those with it, and it was that kind of vibe. And then there was like the asylum part where they were like the creepy people who were acting like they were like possessed asylum patients and shit. It was crazy. Like it was a very crazy and very immersive environment. And even though it was mostly like entirely jump scares, it was very, very like immersive. So like you're going into it and you're really, really immersed in the environment you're going through. And so, we all held it together as a group, and we all made it through the first time. And the scares are definitely kind of, they're always very like out of nowhere, I guess. And the thing is, like, you would think it would become kind of predictable, like you would kind of expect them to happen, but they kind of really came out of nowhere the whole time. And then even the second go around, when we went the second time, like the scares were still unique each time, even though we had literally just gone through it. But anyway, we made it through the first time, and then we all decided, we were like, yeah, we're gonna go through it again. And we actually, the second time we went through, we just like walked back around to the ticket booth and bought the ticket and went back to the trailhead or whatever. But we literally the second time we went through, we were the last people for the night to go through. Like we were the last four. We were our own like group of four this time, and we like hauled ass through this trail the second time. Like we were going stupid fast, and like we got through it really quick. It was like 10 minutes or something that we got through this whole trail. We were just zooming through it. And you could kind of tell by then everybody wanted to go home. Like the people who were, the actors who were dressed up as the monsters were definitely like, they were clearly tired and worn out from like a long day of doing this. And so we were the last people to go through, and we just went kind of quick. And it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. Um, but, if the town that y'all are in, wherever, whoever's listening to this, wherever the haunted trail is in your town, I would highly recommend go checking it out, especially with like a group of friends, because it is really, really fun. Would definitely recommend it to anybody of all ages. I saw all ages of people there, from incredibly young, like kids who, like obviously have like some balls of steel to be going to this haunted trail. Um, you have those young kids who are literally like 4 years old, and then you have like the older people who, I saw people who were probably like in their 60s there. And I wouldn't be surprised to see, older people than that even. So, it's a very, you don't got to worry about not fitting in with the crowd, because it's a very diverse crowd of a very large mix of like ages. So, you really got nothing to worry about. But I would highly recommend going and checking it out. It was a whole lot of fun, and definitely a night that I will remember fondly. But anyway, that was my adventure and experience with the haunted trail in my town. Definitely a very dope time. But that's going to transition us now into this movie discussion that I watched. And so this was like a Netflix original movie, I think. And it was called The Trip. It's on Netflix, and it's very, very, very fitting of its title, because this movie is a trip the whole entire way through. It is literally one of the most bonkers and crazy movies that I've watched in recent memory. And like, it is hilarious. It is literally the most tongue in cheek, just hilarious, just, it's almost satirical in a way of like a typical, I guess, thriller movie of the style that it's in. It's very, very typical, but it's very satire about it. And I think it's great. So I would, before we get into the actual like analysis of the movie, and mild spoiler warning, I'm not going to go too deep into the plot, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the characters and everything. So if that bothers you, I would skip ahead. But I would overall, and really encourage this movie, or really encourage anybody to watch this movie, because it's hilarious. But anyway, starting off, so the plot is very interesting. It starts off like this husband and wife who are obviously having like marital issues and are just hugely in conflict with one another. To the point that it sets up for this movie where they are going to pretty much try to have each other killed. Like they've each got like plans to kill each other, and they go to this cabin, and that's kind of where the movie unfolds. And it is just one weird turn, right, one after the other, and like things are not going according to plan on either ends. And then like this whole like just entourage of people just appear, and it's just like the way it pans out is incredible, and it is absolutely hilarious. Some of the jokes and just it's definitely a very funny movie, and if you're easily offended, I would not recommend watching it. It's definitely got some more, I guess, less politically correct humor in it. So if that bothers you, I wouldn't watch this movie. But I thoroughly thought it was very funny. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I will say it is originally like a Norwegian movie, and so I watched the dubbed version because me and my mom watched it tonight. And the dub is definitely questionable, as can be expected with most sort of uh, dubs that I've seen on Netflix. They're all kind of questionable in quality. And, this one was not the worst dub I've ever seen or heard, but it was definitely kind of funny at parts. But the way the actors kind of delivered the lines, the voice actors through the dub, the way they just kind of delivered the lines was really, really perfect. I applaud those voice actors for getting those parts right, because for one, the voices actually like match the characters. Like I could totally picture the original actors of the movie having the voices that I heard in the dub. Like it's spot on, and just the line delivery was perfect. It was very well voice acted, as well as the physical acting as well. It was very well physically acted, very convincing, and very much over the top. But that is kind of what it was going for. Overall, I would probably give this movie like a 7 out of 10. Which for a Netflix original movie is fantastic, because normally I give them like a 3 or 4 out of 10. A lot of the ones that I've seen have just been absolutely terrible, but this is definitely an exception. Would definitely encourage anybody to watch this. The pros, I would definitely say it's a very funny movie, very well acted. Um, the voice acting and the physical acting were both solid with the line delivery and everything. Um, as far as cons, I would say like the dub overall was not the greatest. Just with obviously the mouths aren't going to sync, but there were points where it just like was completely out of sync and looked kind of funny at points. But overall, the performance was very good, but the dub was not the greatest. Definitely a great movie though if you're trying to just watch something new or kill time or something like that. Definitely recommend watching The Trip. It was a solid film from beginning to end, and I thought it was hilarious, and I will definitely probably be watching it again. But with that being said, the next topic for this video is going to be Corvettes, which is, being a Mustang owner is definitely kind of a different topic. But honestly, kind of just diving right into this, one of my dream cars is a C6 ZR1 or Z06, but preferably the ZR1 Corvette. Just a monster out of the factory. And right off the top of my head, I don't know the horsepower and torque numbers. I want to say they're like 650 or 670 or something like that. It's just an obscene amount of power for the street. And people say that these cars are just terrifying to drive because they're so fast. And that is what I want to have. Like, I want to have the experience of taming that beast, I guess. But Corvettes in general are just really awesome cars. And, the term Corvette has very broad reach around the globe. Like, it's not just an American thing. People everywhere know what the Corvette is. It's like a staple of American car culture, going way, way back many, many years, being that we're on the 8th generation now of Corvettes. And we'll honestly probably talk a little bit about the CA Corvette in this segment. But I first want to talk about that C6 ZR1, because damn, is that thing a monster. That is a dream car of mine for sure. That LS9 with the blower on it, and just, oh my gosh, the way it sounds, and it's a monster of a car, just both appearance wise and performance wise. I think it's one of the most aggressive looking cars I've ever seen, especially with the tail lights and everything. I love the C6 body style and the body lines, and the tail lights especially. The rear end on the C6 is probably my favorite on any Corvette. It's a beautiful, beautiful car from any angle, and the ZR1 not only has that beautiful look with some add-ons as well, like with the hood. The ZR1's got kind of like its own hood and its own aero bits and pieces that I think are really cool. And overall, like, you've got just a monstrous looking car and a monstrous performing car. Like, and that's the great thing about it. It looks monstrous, and it also performs monstrous. Like, it also backs up its look with performance. I mean, this car is a monster. And even stock out of the factory, there were very few cars on the road at the time when it came out that were going to keep up with this thing. Stupid fast around the Nürburgring. I know the Z06 was like a second faster, but I've heard that the ZR1 is just as capable, if not more so, as the Z06. And I mean, I guess that's very true. The Z06 of the same generation had the LS7 7-liter V8, naturally aspirated, which I definitely think having the NA engine would, have its benefits to the superchargered, or the boosted engine with the supercharger. Definitely, I guess, I'm not necessarily sure about reliability, but longevity. I think the NA car would have a little bit longer lifespan compared to the boosted car. I don't know. It's hard to say. I also think the NA car would get a lot less heat soaked after heavy passes at like the strip or something like that. But overall, I think the ZR1 is still my dream car over the Z06, or my dream car at least when it comes to Corvettes. Absolutely beautiful. I'd love to have a black one, just black on black. Get the black rims, the black paint, the really really dark window tint, the quad tips, just the whole 9 yards, the cam and everything, the exhaust. It would just be a monster of a car, and that would be like my weekend car. Definitely something I would love to have someday. And so, mark my words, on this day, October 26th, I marked my words that I would have a C6 ZR1 someday. So I've got to make that dream come true. Got to stay on the grind. But the C8 Corvette, I know I said I would talk a little bit about it. I'm honestly not like a huge fan of it. For one, I'm a huge manual gearbox person, and the C8 not being offered in a manual. Like, I understand the C8, like, I understand it not coming in a manual because that dual clutch is crazy fast and dope. And, I have mad respect for dual clutch transmissions. And, I'm not somebody, I've talked about this before, but, I recognize the benefits of an automatic transmission and why it's more appropriate for some people to have over a manual. But, when it comes to a sports car, I'm definitely always going to have a manual. But also, like, I like the way it looks, but at the same time, like, I'm just not like a huge fan of it. Like, I prefer the front engine look with the C6, the C5, the C6, and the C7. I think is a prettier, just overall, all three of those generations is a prettier looking car than the C8. And I know that's a controversial opinion to have. And, I do like the C8 Corvette. I mean, if somebody were to give me the keys, I would certainly not say no. But I definitely think that the C6 is prettier for sure. But the performance you get out of the C8 is monstrous though, and it's really a bargain. 490 horsepower is just ridiculous, and it's a high revving and fast car. Like, the C8s are just stupid fast, and they sound really good. And the Z06, has recently been kind of revealed with more details going on recently, at least I've seen on Instagram, with the C8 Z06, and it's just going to be a monster. Revving past 9,000 RPM, which is just crazy to think about. But I'm excited to see kind of what the C8 Z06 brings to the table. I definitely think it'll be a badass car. But the C6 ZR1 is definitely still a dream, and one day I will have one, mark my words. But anyway, the last topic for this video is going to be talking a little bit like how I stay motivated working a job that I'm not necessarily fond of, because, a lot of people that I know, like, I don't know, they let work get them down. And, I'm definitely guilty of this as well. Work is definitely stressful. It's hard. It takes a lot out of you. And so, it's very understandable that, you let it get the best of you and, kind of forget where you're going, lose sight of your goals a little bit, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And so just staying motivated. Definitely, I always try to make sure to keep it in perspective that I'm, securing the bag at the end of the day. Like, as much as I hate it in the moment, like, the time is going to pass. I am going to get out, and I am going to get paid. Like, I'm going to get my bag at the end of the day, make my money. And that is definitely like a huge factor as far as, staying on the job and, not walking out and quitting. And, I'm going to be real. Like, there have been times where I've really wanted to do that. And that's just in my experience. I'm not hugely fond of my job, but, I do what I got to do. And, I definitely think remembering that you're working for some money, you're going to get paid, and it's going to have its benefits at the end of the day is something you've always got to keep in mind. And, eventually, that can't carry you the whole way, but that's definitely a good way to start. But, secondly, I try to see the best of it. Like, I work with some cool coworkers that I would honestly consider friends at some points, or at least with some of them. They're definitely, I'm very friendly with everybody that I work with, and I like a lot of the people that I work with. I think they're really cool people, and I'm glad that I get to work with them. But, God, it's just hard sometimes. Like, you have the coworkers that you don't necessarily get along with as well, and it's just kind of awkward. But, like, you don't want to do anything or say anything about it because it's like you don't want to make it more awkward, and I don't know. But as far as keeping it in perspective and, keeping a positive mentality about it, definitely recognizing that I work with some cool people and at least have, almost some friendships coming out of working. And, like I said, securing the bag. But also, like, it's nice to do something that's fulfilling. Like, at the end of the day, I know, I'm putting out a good quality product and doing a good job, and that's satisfying to me. But, that's just, I guess, a few of the ways that I kind of keep myself thinking positively, especially in times of strife and, when everything seems like it's just piling up and overwhelming you, you know, keep things in a positive light and try to see the best of all situations, because at the end of the day, that positive thinking is what's going to get you through life. It's what's going to show you benefits at the end of the day. But, staying motivated at work is definitely a hard task, especially balancing it with school and everything, which, having a lot of school to work on, it makes things very difficult sometimes, having that work life school balance. But at the end of the day, like, you keep your eyes looking forward and, chase the bag. And that's really all I can say. The best advice I can give is just continue to chase the bag, because at the end of the day, you will see the benefits of that, and you will be able to achieve your goals and do anything that you put your mind to. And, I guess that's kind of my motivational speech about staying motivated. But yeah, that was the last topic of the video here. And so with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Definitely more personal here. Getting to talk about the trip to the haunted trail was really nice. Getting to kind of express my joy through that. And, like I said, I'm very grateful for the opportunity. So shout out to Devin, Julia, and Lily for making it a fantastic time. And I would love to, go back next year for sure. But, I'm very thankful for the generosity and, them including me, because they didn't have to do that. And so I'm very grateful for that. But, with that being said, I hope this video finds you all in a positive mindset, a good place in your life. And if not, just, remember that you're strong and you're going to get through it. But if you like the content, press the subscribe button, hit the like button. Definitely leave me some suggestions in the comments for what you'd like to see, any topics you'd like for me to talk about, or just content recommendations in general. I'm always open ears, and I always read the comments. So any ideas that y'all have are, more than welcome to be considered. I would love to expand my content a little bit. But with that being said, I've been Colin. This has been episode 12. Stay chill and have a good rest of your night or day, wherever it may be. And I will catch y'all on the flip side. See you next time.